How to buy a house as a beginner for a profit. Let me show you something really quick. You see this house right here? See that house? Oftentimes people buy many homes as a beginner, but the thing is they don't make any profit. And here's what we gotta zone in on: the profitability of a house the day you buy the house. But see, here's what happened, right? People buy a house and they make no profit, right? They don't make anything. They make no profit. They just buy a house. So in this video, we're going to discuss the ways in which you can buy a house, even as a beginner, for a profit. Let's get right into it. You see this bottle here? This bottle came from Greece, Athens. And so I haven't cracked it open yet. Just a small little bottle I got back from Greece, which is where I was at the last, maybe 3 weeks ago. I stayed overseas for about 2 weeks. And the way I was able to achieve this getaway trip is from buying a house, and I made some profit. Simple as that. In this video, even if you're a beginner or if you're someone that has never bought a house before, I know that there can be a lot of questions, a lot of concerns that come up that you do not have the answers for. And everybody that's looking to buy a house go through these same questions. They have the same anxiety. How does it work? Who does a lawyer talk to? Am I going to make any money? Why does this cost so much? And the list goes on and on and on. See, but in this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid making costly mistakes, how you can be able to achieve a profitable house the first time you buy the house. And you can use this formula to buy homes down the road, whether or not you want to buy a second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house, or even if you want to make this into a full-time career, this formula will help you with that. Okay, so not only is it going to help you today, even before you've even bought a house, but it's also going to help you down the road to buy mini homes and then also to buy multi-unit homes. But let me tell you about a couple who bought a very cheap house. I think it was Detroit. They spent $1,000 on the house. Now, the government were giving out these homes for a very low price because they were trying to revitalize this particular community. Now, the problem is though is that the construction budget for the house is so big, okay? So the couple thought that they were getting a good deal, which essentially they were. I mean, buying a house for $1,000 is a really good deal. And so the couple bought the house and the construction budget was way out of hand. They estimated one price, let's say at about $300,000, and the price came back at $500,000. So meanwhile, they thought they were getting a good deal, but they had to sell the house halfway through because they did not finish the construction. And so they learned a lot. They learned that you have to really understand your construction budget, because if not, you're going to be out of business really fast. And then also, just because it's cheap, that doesn't make it a good deal. And so these are some things you got to consider when buying your first house. By the way, since you're here, hit the like and subscribe button to get more content just like this. So essentially, there are 6 powerful ways in order to buy a house as a beginner for a profit that's going to help you buy every single deal you want to get into. Let's get right into it. The first thing is you always make money on the buy. What does this mean? It means from the day you buy the house is the day you make profit. Do not buy a house where there's no profit in the home from day one. You have a lot of people that live in homes that have bought homes that need work that have not made any profit on the house. Now, how do you know you're making profit on the house from the day you buy the house? Well, number one, you look at the market value in that community. So you look at a mile away from where you're buying this house, and you look at the average home prices that have sold in the last 6 months in that particular community. And let's say the average is $300,000. $300,000 the average price. That means do not buy a house at $300,000. It means try to buy a house at $250,000, $260,000. You want to buy a house below the market value. This is how to make money on the buy. Now, you may ask how much below market value I should be looking for. Well, you want to aim for at least 15% below market value. Investors, though, look for 25%. But since this is your first house, you're a beginner, 15% is good enough. This is how to look for homes below market value. And these deals exist. You got to look for them. You got to be aware that these deals exist, and they do exist because every seller is selling for different reasons. And you don't know the reason why a seller is selling. So one seller may be willing to give you a deal if you're willing to close fast, got your financing in order, and they'll give you a discount on it. Or some sellers may not know the true value of their home. You may be able to get a deal for $200,000 or $150,000. Okay, so always make money on the buy. Okay, number 2, don't underestimate the construction budget. Always overestimate your construction budget. Why? Because before you buy the house, you don't know really what's going on in the house. Now, you may do a thorough inspection on the house, but trust me, things always come up. So you got to be on guard just in case things came up that you did not expect in your budget. So let's say you have a contractor come to your house. He says, look, I can do the job for $30,000, let's say. You say, okay, that sounds like a good price. I think I can afford that. Let's make it happen. Then when you actually start doing the construction of the house or you start renovating the house, other things come up. So you may have to spend another $5,000 for something else or another $10,000 for something else. So always keep more money on hand from the initial construction budget. That will save you a lot of time and money down the road. Also, never pay your contractors in advance for work not completed. What does this mean? That means that before you pay the contractor, make sure that he has completed half of the work. Once you complete a half of the work, you pay him half the cash. Or you can do it in thirds. Once the contractor has completed a third of the work, you pay him a third of the money. This is how it's done. But don't have a contractor come to your house and then you pay him in advance for work that has not been completed. That contractor may leave and you may never see the contractor again. Remember that when you're doing your construction. The last thing with this is that make sure you have at least 3 contractors look at your house to get a price assessment for that job. Don't just have one contractor come. Have at least 3 contractors come. Get 3 different quotes so you know exactly what you're doing and what the problems are. It gives you a better understanding of the pricing, the construction, and it'll help you assess which contractor to go with. Now, this leads into the next point, which is do not buy a house that has a large construction budget as a beginner. Because why? Because you don't know the particulars of doing construction. And also, your budget isn't that large. Okay, so you want to buy a house that has minimal construction inside that house. So you want to buy a house that has paint job, cabinets, maybe some floors, simple things. Okay, you're not trying to do electrical, plumbing, roofing, structural issues, none of that stuff. You want to keep it real simple on the first house because you're going to save a lot of time and money down the road by doing it that way. Plus, you want to understand how to manage having a house, how to manage tenants, how to manage contractors. You want to understand and get some experience with it. And then on your second house, maybe you can increase your budget from that to maybe a larger project. But on your first deal, do not go for extensive projects. Or I would say unless you have somebody that you're partnering with that has experience in those, that has experience doing those types of deals. But even then, I still wouldn't agree with going into partnership with someone. I would just keep the budget low, keep it at about $10,000, maybe $20,000 at most. Okay, the next point is dealing with construction as well, because oftentimes a lot of people lose money in the construction phase. Make sure before you buy the house has a good roof. The plumbing is good. The electrical is good. The foundation of the house is good. Never buy a house that is wobbling, that's leaning, that look like it's about to fall over if you lean on it. Okay? Don't not buy homes like that. Buy homes where like the bones are good. Everything is solid. So all you got to do is go in there, maybe fix the boiler, maybe, fix the bathroom, maybe do a new kitchen. Basic line items, okay? Okay, the next reason, number 5, you really want to get an FHA loan or a conventional loan. Okay, do not take out a hard money loan on your first deal. Why? Because the interest rate is really high, number one. And then number two, you got to make sure that your credit stays high when you want to refinance out of that deal or if you want to sell it. Okay, so what you really want to do is you really want to buy a conventional loan. You're going to put down a lower deposit of 5% on average with a conventional loan. Your credit score currently, I think, is 680 or better. Okay, or FHA. FHA, you put down 3.5%, and I think the credit requirements are a 550 and better. Okay, with good income. So here are the two avenues you want to take on your first home. Also, put the house in your first name. Okay, you will get great insurance by doing that. So put the house in your personal name. Do not put the house in a company name. It will work out better for you down the road. Okay, again, do not take out a hard money construction loan. Do not take out one of those types of loans because you're going to waste a lot of time and money that way as well. And the last thing you really want to do is to hire experts in your field when you're doing the construction of your house. Because you don't want to hire Joe Schmo down the street at Home Depot. No knock to those guys. I know they're trying to make a living to provide for their families. However, you want to hire an expert that does a really good job at painting. That all he does is paint. Or a person that does cabinets. All he does is cabinetry work. Or if you have some plumbing issues, you don't want to hire a guy that does carpentry and plumbing. Because the plumbing is not going to be good. You don't want to have your house leaking with holes because you hired the wrong type of guy to do the plumbing work. So hire only experts to do jobs in your house. And the last thing is have some fun. Doing real estate was really fun. It's really creative. You got to be really resourceful when doing deals. But on that note, check out my other video here. And until the next time, take care. Peace and love.